Dear viewers and listeners, and welcome to the latest episode of Extra Extra. It's all about whiskey. I remain Jason Johnson Yellen. Although I have been enjoying the One Nation Under Whiskey intro of Jason, Neil, Patrick Harris, Johnson Yellen. That has a ring to it.
Why you haven't legally changed your name to Jason, Neil, Patrick Harris, Johnson Yellen is beyond me.
He remains Joshua Morrissey Hatton. We have that one in the canister. Mm-hmm. How are you, Joshua?
I'm good. I thought you were going to mention my new glasses, which I thought might bring in some new viewers.
I feel like for the viewers, we each have to mention our spectacles of choice for this episode. You apparently have new spectacles.
Mm-hmm. I do.
And you decided in 2023 that Michael Caine was your great inspiration from the 1960s?
My name is Michael Caine.
Does not sound like Michael Caine. we're thinking about two different Michael Caines here.
Right. My name is Michael Caine. Is that better?
Terrible. Such a terrible impression.
It's terrible.
And my spectacles, my normal readers broke while I was on my West Coast trip a couple of weeks ago. And I am wearing my Transition Progressives. And because I just came in from the sun, I am in sunglass mode for them. And
yeah, I just figured that, your future was so bright you had to wear shades.
It's so crazy. I'm so done wearing bifocals for working my way on the laptop here. It is miserable. I have to tilt my head back. So if listeners see me do this, or if viewers see me do this, tilt my head back and look down my nose. No, I am no more in judgment of Joshua this week than I am any other week. I am just trying to read what is on my screen.
Gotcha.
So, spectacles out the way. In Extra Extra, we bring a news article, oftentimes about whiskey, to the attention of our viewers and listeners, and we cover it, we riff on it, we discuss it, we have a wee dram, we cover a dram at the end of the episode. Today, we're going to have a wee bit of fun, and we're going to get out of here. So there's no dramming for us today. We're dramming in a future episode. We've got that planned. And in the hopper, but it's not going to be today. Now, gosh, my brother, Murray, had written in to see if we'd be covering Diddy suing Diageo, to which I said we definitely will not be, because that's a lot of money floating around in the world that we don't need any legal teams reaching out to us to discuss further.
P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs? That
all
Diddy?
of the above. All of the above. All of the above. Yeah, he's accusing Diageo of not giving his, I think, tequila brand the room to grow because racism, which is a significant claim to be making.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So good luck to them sorting that out. I'm sure their lawyers will all become very wealthy people. The other big thing that we've seen go across our desks is Campbelltown is getting another distillery. This time from the people behind Brave New Spirits. So planning permission has been requested in Campbelltown. The former, I think, Machrihanish Air Force Base.
Correct. So you have that, then you've got another Machrihanish one by the Rase people, and then there's the Dalriata, which was announced last year. So that's three new Campbelltown distilleries in the hopper. I mean, still a far cry from the 37 there used to be down that way, but we're getting there. We're getting there, Jason.
That's such an interesting spin on it, right? That's 3 new ones, but we're still not to 37. We also had longtime listener and supporter David Feldner send in an article that is not just wine investment, not just whiskey investment, but wine and whiskey investment.
There you go.
So thanks for sending that in. That's a conversation for another day. Oh my gosh. Do you know what else, Joshua?
Yeah, go ahead.
You open up a whiskey news item. Do you know what you're most likely going to find?
Whiskey news?
I wish that were true. Invariably, it's another celebrity has a new brand. And so in the past weeks, Stephen Curry has now come out with a bourbon, announced that he'll be part of a Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah, I don't know who that is. The last one I saw was Seth MacFarlane had some sort of a whiskey.
He has an agreement, yeah. Bear
Yeah.
Fight, American single malt whiskey. Anyway, we're not here to name celebrity
All right.
brands. That's not the name of the game. I started that by saying Diddy. I finished that by saying Steph Curry. Listen, it's June. We're sporting new spectacles. I'm here to have some fun and get out of here in a tight 35. And when I look at you, Joshua, I see the same thing with you.
Tight as a tiger.
Is that Michael Caine again?
Tight. My name is Michael Caine. You sure that isn't good? I feel like my name is Michael Caine.
No, you are meant to blow the bloody doors off.
Oh my gosh.
Don't blow the bloody doors off.
Listeners, viewers, please email us in. Who had the worst Michael Caine impression? I think yours was worse. And at least your accent comes from the same island. Like, Joshua. My name is Michael Caine. I think I've got it.
So anyway. Okay, moving on. Right. So InsideHook.com, you know us, Joshua. We like occasionally pulling out a listicle. We enjoy reading the opinions of others and having a wee dissection of said opinions. And so this is an article entitled "The Best New Whiskies to Drink This June." And please listen to me carefully. Listeners, viewers, Joshua Hatton, the best new whiskies to drink this June. Emphasis on drink.
All right.
Okay. The listicle is put together by Kirk Miller, and it went live on June 2nd of this very year. So we've got kind of 5 categories to begin with, and actually the first category is that of Japanese whiskey. And more specifically, the House of Suntory. And the House of Suntory has an anniversary. Do you know which anniversary it is, Joshua?
It is their 100th anniversary. They were 1923. So there you go. 100.
There you go. And they pulled out Keanu Reeves and Sofia Coppola to help them celebrate that news. Because at Suntory,
I thought we weren't mentioning.
No issue.
I thought we weren't mentioning celebrities.
Hey, there's no endorsement deal, right? There's no Keanu Reeves Suntory whiskey coming down the pipeline, dare I say, yet. Okay, so here, have a listen to this. Celebrating 100 years with some help from Sofia Coppola and Keanu Reeves, no less. The House of Suntory just debuted 2 exceptional new limited edition whiskies created by 5th generation chief blender Shinji Fukuya. The Yamazaki is a single malt aged exclusively in rare Mizunara oak casks. Goes on to some tasting notes. The Hakushu takes a moment at first. The smoke dominates. Goes on to some tasting notes. My question to you, Joshua,
go ahead.
Is there's a Hakushu 18-year-old peated malt and a Yamazaki 18-year-old Mizunara cask. Starting with the Yamazaki 18, what do you think the price of this June drinker is?
Recommended retail price. My guess is it's probably going to be somewhere around $5,000.
Well, let me tell you, my friend, it's not even close to that because this is a June drinker. So what would you pay for a June drinking version of Yamazaki 18 from Mizunara casks?
What would I specifically pay?
Listen, what would you expect the price of a drinking version of Yamazaki 18 to be?
So I would argue that this is likely, like if this were a drinking thing, but it is 18 years, it's 18 years in Mizunara, I would say if regular 18 is around 500 for for the MSRP, which I think is correct. I
Oh,
think it's around
I
500.
thought it was up to more 800 now. I thought it was more that neck of the woods.
Oh, see, I thought it was 500 with people paying 800 because that's what the shops inflate to, between 800 and 1,000. So I was
Which,
going to say around 850 for the 18-year-old Mizunara.
so I'm very pleased to say it's somewhere between 850 and 5,000. This June drinking version of
Yeah.
Yamazaki 18 in Mizunara casks
Mm.
is a suggested price of $1,800. 1800.
So it used to be
It used to
$10.
be.
Back in my day,
Used to
it used to,
be.
it used to be $10 per year was the
Used
acceptable
to
thing.
be
Yeah.
10 years
Now
ago.
it's
It used
100. Now it's
to
$100
be.
per year. All right. Okay.
Inflation,
18.
my friend.
So that will sell for around $12,000 to the ultra rich who will never open it, and they'll just put it on a shelf.
It's a June drinker, my friend. Some of the best
Mm.
June drinkers available.
Mm.
So same price, same question. What do you think is the price of the Hakushu? And that's 18. Yes. Hakushu 18. What do you think the drinking price on the Hakushu 18 is?
Do they
I'll give
talk
you a clue. It's not
cask type?
5,000.
Do they talk cask type? Is it also Mizunara?
No, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
No, they do not talk cask type.
Let's call it. Well, Hakushu's always been. Well, let's call it 1,500.
Yeah, you're in the wheelhouse for this June drinker. It is 1,200 for the 18-year-old Hakushu.
June drinker. Can't wait to break out my $1,200 for just a drinker.
Now you're getting it. Okay, if I told you the next June drinker is from Kentucky,
Mm-hmm.
and I told you it was from Buffalo Trace,
Mm.
and I told you it was the latest iteration in their experimental series, what do you think it might be?
Well, if distilleries like Jim Beam and Jack Daniels are any
I know where you're going with
indication,
this. I know what you're about to say.
I wonder if it may be their version of an American single malt.
Yeah, I very much like your working out there. I think that was nicely thought of. It is not. It is not. But you're somehow on the right lines here.
Okay.
If I was to tell you they were taking inspiration from Isla, or perhaps taking inspiration from Hakushu.
So it's peated. So it's a peated malt whiskey? Is that what they're doing? A peated malt whiskey?
No, it is an experimental peated bourbon.
Oh, interesting. Oh, do they?
Yes.
I realize we've got 35 minutes here that we need to hash all of this out on. But did they go into? Is it peated malted barley that's in there, and what the purport like? Do they talk about mash bill and proportions and all that?
Well, let me tell you, Joshua, the 26th release from the Buffalo Trace Experimental Collection started in 2006. Experimental Collection started in 2006.
Yeah, I've had a few of them. They've been fun.
Is a high rye Kentucky straight bourbon that utilizes smoked peated malt as a flavoring grain instead of traditional barley. Aged for nearly 10 years in new charred white oak casks and bottled in 370ml bottles only.
That's always
at 90 proof. It then goes on with the tasting notes. This one is heavy on the tobacco, ashtray and leather, with some toffee and a bit of mint and roasted coffee sneaking in near the end.
So the experimental range has always been in the 375. So I was expecting that. It's a 10-year-old bourbon. It's peated. It's 375. I still want to say it's probably around $100.
So I'm really sorry to say this, but there is no price included in the article. that was not the guessing game this time around.
Yeah. Okay. They
my
included the
my
price in the
other
others, but not this one?
yeah, my guess
Huh.
is it's going to be highly allocated. It's going to be flipped like crazy. It's going to be, highly sought after. There are going to be some of
Mm.
those queues and fights and anger. It's it's problematic. So no price attached to it.
That's unfortunate. It'd be nice if they made a lot of it and it were priced at an affordable if it had an affordable price tag, because I would love it if some bourbon drinkers started getting an appreciation for a smoky flavor, because usually though the bourbon palate and the smoky Scotch whiskey palate tend to they don't usually mix.
And that's exactly why I wanted to cover this article today is to your mind, what do you think the benefits of a peated bourbon are?
Well, first and foremost, it's expanding the flavors of what a bourbon can be. I mean, the beautiful thing about bourbon is that it's delicious. It's always delicious. The difficult thing about bourbon is because of the new charred oak cask, you're sort of forced into a smaller flavor box. But you can make changes with the grain, of course, with the mash bill and certain other things. But the fact that they put peated malted barley in there, that we know even from, say, older releases like Glenmorangie Finalta, where they had 5 ppm. This is such a small amount of
Mm-hmm.
phenols on the barley, presented a nice peaty flavor to that spirit. So even a little bit of phenols in this should give that bourbon a nice smoky flavor that, maybe people who dig barbecue, they'll say, oh, I kind of like that, and maybe it gives them a brave face to move forward and try some other peaty things.
Yeah, that was exactly my take. Is that if
Yeah.
you could bring smoky into somewhere familiar, as we've done, many times ourselves with our own peated scotches, if you can make an allusion to smoked meats, I think there's
Mhm.
something familiar there. One of the Lechigs that we released that was in sherry really ramped up the meatiness, and it came from a Highland peated malt, and people seemed, very very interested in that flavor profile.
And it just the final thing that I'll add on, because I realize we're only on the second whiskey here, is the Catoctin Creek experiment we did, where we put that 2-year-old liquid into an ex Kilhoman peated PX cask, and so you had the spicy fruitiness of the rye, the sweetness of the PX, and then the smokiness from the Kilhoman component. And so, it's kind of like that nod to the old High West campfire, where you have all these different
Hmm.
flavors going on that hopefully just expand things you'd be more willing to try.
Right, expand
Yeah,
horizons and jump
yeah,
categories. I think
exactly.
that's what
Yep.
this hobby's all about. Okay,
Mhm.
are you familiar with
Hmm.
Minneapolis's Tattersall Distillery?
I am not. I know Minneapolis has the Keeper's Heart people, but I wasn't familiar with this.
Let me tell you about Tattersall here.
All right.
The, this Minneapolis distillery is all about sustainability. They claim to have the largest solar array of any craft distillery in the country,
All
and
right.
now they're making whiskey from a perennial grain, Kernza. The article says, which also makes for a nice beer, does not need to be replanted every year, which improves soil health and water quality,
Hmm.
something we have been talking about this year on One Nation Under Whiskey.
It's been a
So
priority. Yep.
I was very happy to see this get mentioned in this article. Their 100% Kernza perennial grain whiskey, 90 proof, is nutty fruity and full of baking spices. So there you
Kernza.
go. Tattersall Kernza Perennial Grain Whiskey
How do you,
is the title of it.
how do you spell Kernza?
Kernz or Z A.
You couldn't do the Michael Caine impression before, so you just had to throw a Z out there just to get some street cred back. I get it.
It's more that recently my kid has been making fun of me saying Z around the house instead of Z. Yeah.
My buddy,
Also, the fact
really
is
quickly,
his name starts with letter Z. Yeah.
my buddy Joe, who is an American, he doesn't say H, he says H. Do you do that too? H?
Fuck no. No, that's very much a certain regions of England kind of thing.
Okay.
All right, so there you go. But so I wanted to bring up the Tadrosol, right? A grain that doesn't have to be replanted, improving soil health and water quality. Yeah, that's well worth seeking out. That's well worth supporting
Yeah.
that kind of effort.
But I guess what I don't know, and granted, we never do research here, is Kernza closer to corn? Is it closer to barley? Is it closer to wheat? And I'm checking that right now.
On the fly
Kernza.
research.
Yeah.
And
So
I spelled it
Kernza. So
Kernza.
so looking at it, it looks quite a lot like wheat.
There you
Wheat, barley has that it's kind of fat and there's sort of two sides to it. Wheat is a bit thinner. This is thin like wheat is. So
Well, the fact that they said makes a nice beer had me thinking away from corn and
yeah.
more into a kind of a
Makes sense.
grass family.
Okay.
But yeah,
right.
so Kernza, have a look out for that. Okay, we're back in Kentucky here, and again, there's no fun to be had with pricing, so that's a bit of a bummer. But have you ever, Joshua, followed the Booker's batch annual releases?
Not. I did for a while, and then I stopped.
They're the ones that come in the fancy box with the lettering that's kind of, iron stamped on there.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and there have been some legendary annual batches. It's always like drinking pure fire. You've got to give it some water to really calm it down and open it up.
You could not have set me up any better.
Oh, really? Okay.
The latest uncut and unfiltered bourbon release from Booker's is named in honor of Charlie Hutchins, the craftsman behind the signature wooden box in which each Booker's bottle arrives. Coming in at 126.6 proof and aged for a bit over 7 years, this one, the first of the 2023 collection, is full of butterscotch, vanilla, toasted oak, and a spicy kick that's almost akin to ginger. They wrapped it all up in a pretty bowl, right? Everything you just said there.
Yeah. And go ahead.
And just another one that comes in without a price, I'm guessing, because it'll be highly allocated, it'll be highly sought after, it'll be flipped like crazy. It's going to be a moving price. But if you can get it at the price for which it should be sold, open it up, drink it, tell your friends that it tastes like ginger and spice and all
what
things
is it?
nice.
126, so 63%. So dilute it to 53%. It'll be a gorgeous drinker, I guarantee it.
Yep. And what was it, 126.6? Yeah, 53.3 or 63.3. Dilute it to 53.
Yeah. Yep.
But there you go. That's interesting. And then they go in an interesting direction with this last one.
Has there been a Scotch whiskey yet, though? Wait.
Joshua, you're very good at this. You're very good. Let me read you this paragraph.
Okay.
Drinks giant Diageo just released its annual limited edition Distiller Edition collection, featuring rare single malts from the likes of Talisker, Lagavulin, and more, all double matured in different types of cask wood. The standout here, the Oban release, aged in refill American oak and European oak casks, and finished in Montillafino seasoned, recharred American oak casks with heavily recharred new AONs. I'm guessing he suddenly just started abbreviating American oak. Like he has no parentheticals for
What's
this.
the N? American oak nonsense? American oak
Ends. Ends.
N. Oh,
Ends.
ends,
The
as
ends
in
of a
the
cask.
cask end, the cask end.
As we do this in
So
each other.
yeah,
Mamma
yeah.
mia, spicy a
Wow,
meatball.
that's amore. So interestingly, this is the one I heard about this one, that there was some recharred sherry going on, and just recharred barrels in particular. Like this is one that is high on my list to get. This one and then the Buffalo Trace Experimental. Those are currently on my list.
So here's my question to you,
Uh,
and again, right? I had multiple reasons for including this article, but another one of those reasons is Distiller's Edition is of course of interest. It's Diageo, it's some of the big names in the portfolio.
sure.
They do some interesting things with wood. Sometimes it's seasoned sherry casks, which maybe aren't doing quite what they used to do back in the day when it was
Mm-hmm.
real sherry casks, full use sherry casks.
Mm-hmm.
But even to this day, Distiller's Edition comes out at 43%.
Yeah.
And it really flattens the experience for me and really tempers some of those flavors that I would expect to be getting through all of this movement through wood. And for that reason, I don't buy the Distiller's Edition. I don't go in search of Distiller's Edition. So to hear you saying, you are actually interested in the recharge component here, what's your take on the 43% that you end up drinking?
Yeah, I've never enjoyed the 43% releases, because like you, they end up kind of flabby, a little flaccid.
Like
But
me? That's hurtful, Joshua. Like me. That's hurtful. You said they end up like you,
flabby and flaccid.
flaccid,
Yeah.
flabby. Like, oh
Did
my
I
gosh.
stutter? Did I
Oh,
stutter?
man, this is what I'm taking from a friend. Wow.
However, for some reason I thought this one was going to be at 46. Will this one be at 43 as well?
All I've seen on the new Distillers Editions is
Uh,
43. And so I'll give some props out there, and this is something else you and I discussed previously. The Connoisseur's Choice bottlings have been making a move up, but the labels releases from Gardner MacPhail have
have been
moved
going.
up into 46. And I'm back all in on the Distillery Labels series from Gardner MacPhail for that very reason.
Yeah, I think. And so first off, I'm with you, right? If 46% minimum, gorgeous.
A little cheeky little Glentalkers at 46. Don't mind if I do.
But I don't think that you and I are necessarily the target market for
It's the
Distiller's
age old.
Edition,
Yeah,
right?
it's the age old.
It's there's the people who love Lagavulin and they want the Distiller's Edition. The ABV is the same. It has a little bit of PX going on.
Yep.
Once you start to increase that ABV from 43 to 46, despite there being more oil in the liquid to protect your tongue from the heat, psychologically speaking, the drinker that's drinking 43 is already thinking, "Oof, that's a bit high." And you go to 46 and it becomes even higher. The reason why the Oban has me somewhat excited is the recharged sherry cask component.
Right.
And granted, it's never going to be like it, but one of my favorite Springbank releases ever was a recharged sherry Springbank. It was just, we called it Angel's Tears. Right? So I want to see what recharred sherry does to Oban, despite the fact that it will likely be chill filtered and colored and all that. Still, I am curious in trying it. I may not get a bottle, but I may buy a dram, and if I like it off that dram, I'll buy a bottle.
But I think you raised the very point here, which is it's not directed at us. It's probably not directed at people who would, watch a YouTube video, on some whiskey news or some whiskey releases. It's probably not directed at listeners of a podcast about whiskey that runs 2 hours plus, right? But there's an audience. There's a much bigger whiskey drinking
Much bigger.
audience
Yeah.
out there than is reflected by you, me, our friends, our viewers, our listeners,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I just continually struggle to get my head around that when I'm like, but I want to drink it at 46 minimum. Please do me a solid. Hook me up. I'm very
Or at the
selfish, Joshua.
very least, don't chill filter. Like, bring it to 43.
Right,
Don't chill filter.
right.
Penderyn brings their whiskeys to 43, at least their Dragon series, but they don't chill filter, and you
Yep.
still get that good presence. So,
Yep. I
it's a
was
battle.
drinking Glasgow Blend from Compass Box last night. That's
There you go.
43%, non-chill
There you go.
filtered. Lovely, lovely dram. Really, really tasty. All right, we got some minutes left here. They then go on to kind of like a bullet list. I don't really want to go through all the bullet, but one that I do want to draw particular attention to, because once again, it connects to something we just did in One Nation Under Whiskey, where we recently spoke with Matt Hoffman about Westland's Solum release, which was their first foray into using American peat, and more specifically, Washington peat. So I was really happy to see this appear on the list. I will tell you what is said here, Joshua. Yep. It says, we just tried Solum Edition 1, part of Westland's Outpost range. Released earlier this spring, it's already won a Best American Single Malt Award at the 2023 World Whiskies Awards. This peated whiskey, utilizing local peat, spelled P-E-E-T, from the Pacific Northwest, is surprisingly bright, with notes of apple, charred oak, vanilla, and a modest smoke. How great to see Westland on a list that says things to drink this June. Get your hands on Solum, enjoy the story behind it, and get a good taste of some good whiskey.
I tell you, just a few years back, the idea of an American single malt falling on a listicle like this, you wouldn't expect it. Granted, it's happened. Like, Whiskey Advocate has had some Westlands on their lists before, and so on. The point I'm trying to make is, this article included, we're seeing Copperworks and Westland and Westward and Balcones and so many other American single malt bottlings show up on more and more lists. So, A, I'm excited for Westland. B, I'm excited for the drinkers of Westland, because you and I had an advanced taste of that Solum when we interviewed Matt, and we're floored by it, absolutely floored by it. And C, I'm excited for American single malt producers. The category isn't even, as of this date, officially defined. June 5th is not officially defined, but it keeps on making lists because they're making great whiskey, and it's starting to capture people's attention. So I'm excited.
Brilliant. Yeah, well said. Yeah, really, really well said on that one. It's a hell of an achievement at a time when Matt Hoffman is about to leave that distillery. He's certainly leaving it in a good spot with some great whiskies in the lineup, an American flagship product in the range as well. Yeah. I'm trying not to get maudlin, while at the same time saying, well done, Matt, and best endeavors, Joshua.
Well, I would argue, well done, Westland team, because yes, Matt's the master distiller. Yes, Matt's the blender, but there are other distillers. There are other blenders. They're all doing it to the Westland spec. I mean, I just don't think Westland's gonna, despite him leaving, I think Westland's going to keep on doing what they're doing. So I say congrats to the entire Westland team, not just Matt.
There you go. And we know they watch what we're doing, so might as well. Listen. We get out of here in a tight 35. I think we're going to be there or
is that it? Did that round it out?
That was
it?
it. Yeah, we circled back to
Huh.
just some other bits and bobs here. But if you really if you yeah, we're done here. It goes on to talk about more bourbons.
Oh
and a
no, no,
UE
no. We have a few
and
more
a
minutes.
UE.
Let's
Yeah,
just
we
give
can.
them. Let's just give them their due. Let's just say what they are, and we'll go through
All
them
right. If
lightning
you are
fast.
looking for
Mm.
Rabbit Hole's latest limited edition is Tennille. Says nothing about the captain. A cask strength double barrel bourbon that blends Cave Hill, the distillery's 4-grain triple malt bourbon, with High Gold, the brand's high rye double malt bourbon.
There you
There
go.
you
So
go.
mix mash
Proof
bill.
of 108.8. Ladybird is coming from the Texas-based Garrison Brothers.
Oh
That's
yeah.
a Texas straight bourbon whiskey at 114 proof, infused with Texas wildflower honey and finished in a cognac cask. Um, it,
Okay.
so here's the good news coming out of that. $5 from every bottle sold will benefit the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center in Austin, which helps with the preservation of native wildflowers and plants across North America. So there's a good
See?
cause
Another reason
to
I
put
like
in front
Garrison
of people,
Brothers. Yeah, there you go.
right? Charity, it's important, right, Joshua?
It's been important to us since our very beginnings of this company.
Exactly,
Yep.
exactly. Nika's Yuichi 10-year-old is a new release spotlighting the coastal Yuichi distillery and a return to age statements for the US portfolio. It'll be released at 45% ABV. And finally on the list, Colorado's Breckenridge Distillery teamed up with Flaviar for an exclusive release called Dad's Stash, a blended bourbon with notes of buttery popcorn, caramel, vanilla, and stone fruit, coming out at $44 a bottle.
There you go. All right. See, now I feel much better. I feel much better that you brought all that up.
You're rushing out to get any of those?
I may do the Garrisons, just A for
Right?
charity and B the addition of honey, the extra maturation in a cognac cask, and I like Garrison Brothers' spirit. Not everything they do. Remember, I mentioned Booker's is sometimes like drinking fire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Garrison's is sometimes like drinking fire. But you've met my friend Irene Tan here in Connecticut, and she's done some of her own single barrels for her shop, and they are drop dead gorgeous. Garrison Brothers are making some really fine liquids. So
Oh, no,
yeah,
no doubt about it.
that may be on my list there.
Nice, easy drinking little Shabbat whiskey, maybe mixed with something potent and potable, as they used to say on Jeopardy.
There you go.
Um, If you'd like to be like David Feldner and suggest a story idea that we ignore, you can email us at info@singlecastnation.com, which is what David did. Or you can email us at questions@onenationunderwhiskey.com. I think it's good to show people that we don't just read everything that gets sent to us. Like, we don't cover it. We do click on the link at least, but we don't always cover it in the episode. Anything else, Joshua? We're getting out here in a very tight 35. I'm very proud of us this June.
This may be the first tight 35 that our lovely friend Ollie Chilton actually runs just 35. He's gonna feel let down because he'll be far into his 45-minute run.
he's still 10 minutes from home and the episode is ending. All right, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in here on YouTube. If you are watching us on YouTube, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. I am contractually obliged to say that at the end of every episode. If you're listening to us on the podcast, please take a second, go along to Apple and drop in a little starred review. And a few words are always helpful, help other people find us. That's always a good thing to do. Until next time, Joshua Morrissey Hatton, we will get out of here saying peace.
Peace, Jason Neil Patrick Johnston Yellen. Neil Patrick Harris Johnson Yellen.
Flawless.